as cyclists, we hear the term cadence mentioned quite a lot. But what exactly is it, and how can it help us ride our bikes? Well, according to the dictionary, the term cadence is actually the modulation or inflection of the voice. Basically, it's a rhythm, a tempo, or a beat. Now, obviously, music has cadence, running has cadence, but for us cyclists, cadence is basically the rate at which we pedal. So imagine you've got the cranks at the 12 o'clock position, you move them round back to the 12 o'clock position, and that counts as one revolution. So cadence for us cyclists is measured in revolutions per minute. Basically, the number of times in 1 minute that you turn the cranks. Now, this is not the same thing as speed, and let me show you why. Let's imagine for one moment that you're riding your bike along a flat piece of road, you're pedaling at 90 revs per minute and you're in a fairly low gear. You could be doing, say, perhaps 20 kilometers an hour. Now though, let's imagine you're riding the same bike along the same piece of road and you're still doing 90 revs per minute, but this time you're in a much higher gear. So you could be doing potentially a much higher speed. So knowing what cadence is all fine and dandy, but how do you actually measure it when you're on the bike? Well, there's basically two methods you can use. Most cycling computers these days come armed with a cadence function. If it's not already displayed on your home screen, then I suggest you dive into the menu and try and display it. For that to work though, you do need to have a specific dedicated cadence sensor. Now, a lot of the Garmin computers come bundled with them, but you can buy them separately. And one of my favourites is the Cardio Sport cadence sensor, and that's because it's also ANT+ and Bluetooth, so it will pair with pretty much anything you have. If your cycling computer doesn't have a cadence function, and to be frank, I'll be pretty surprised if it doesn't, you can always go old school and basically count your pedal revolutions over the course of 15 seconds and then multiply that by 4. Knowing your cadence is more than just having an extra number on your cycling computer. It's actually a pretty important metric. In fact, it's one of my personal most important metrics along with heart rate and speed. The reason I use cadence quite a lot is basically because it's good for judging my effort. So I know my home cadence, which is approximately 90 revs per minute, and I know that if I'm going up a climb and my cadence drops below 90 revs per minute, then I know that it's time to change down a gear. And similarly, if I'm pedaling along or going down a descent and my pedaling rate goes above 90 revs per minute, I know that it's time to change up a gear. I basically use the 5 revs per minute rule. So for instance, if my pedaling rate goes 5 revs above my home cadence, it's time to change up a gear. And if it goes 5 revs below my home cadence, then it's time to change down a gear. Now, many people ask me what is the best cadence to use. And to be honest, there's no right or wrong answer. Cadence is very personal and the number is very specific to you. If you want to find out what I call your home cadence, and that's essentially the cadence that you feel most comfortable using, basically just go out on your bike and ride it along a flat piece of road in a fairly comfortable gear. Then look at your cadence reading on your cycling computer, and that's your home cadence. As a bit of an aside, different cadences will give you slightly different health benefits. So for instance, if you're using the slightly higher end of the scale, so 90 revs, 100 revs, 110 revs per minute, you'll be using your cardiovascular system to power your ride, and you'll burn fat quicker and improve your endurance. Alternatively, if you're down the lower end of the range, so 80, 75 revs per minute, you're pushing higher gears and you'll be improving your speed and leg strength. Now, it's not always possible to stick religiously to your home cadence. For instance, when I'm climbing, I quickly run out of gears, especially if the gradient goes beyond about 5%. In that case, all I can do is just grit my teeth, keep the pedals turning and just focus on getting up the climb and not worry too much about my cadence. Alternatively, some lighter riders might find it slightly easier to change down to a gear that's slightly lower than they need and pedal a bit faster, and that way the climb does become a little bit easier. So hopefully that solved the mystery of cadence once and for all, what it is and how it can help you ride your bike. If you found this film useful, please like and share. And if you'd like to get the most out of your cycling, please consider subscribing for my regular weekly uploads. Thanks for watching.